What is it about a distorted guitar riff, a pounding drum beat, or a raw, defiant vocal that makes your heart race and your fist clench? Rock music, born from the fusion of blues, jazz, and country, didn't just entertain. It ignited revolutions, challenged norms, and gave a voice to the restless, the marginalized, and the defiant. From its roots in the 1950s to its explosive peaks in the punk and grunge eras, rock music became the anthem of rebellion, a sonic middle finger to conformity. In this video, we will explore how rock evolved into a cultural force, weaving together its musical innovations, societal impact, and the fearless artists who made it synonymous with resistance. The birth of a rebellious sound, 1950s. Imagine a 1950s America draped in pastel conformity, where the post-war dream promised prosperity but demanded obedience. Enter rock and roll, a genre that didn't ask permission to crash the party. Born from African-American rhythm and blues, gospel, and country, rock and roll was raw, unpolished, and electrifying. Artists like Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and Elvis Presley infused it with a primal energy that spoke to a generation itching to break free. Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good, 1958, wasn't just a song. It was a story of a kid from the margins dreaming big. His guitar a weapon against a world that told him to stay in his place. Little Richard's flamboyant performances and screams in Tutti Frutti, 1955, defied racial and gender norms, shocking a segregated society. Elvis, with his hip-shaking swagger, was deemed so dangerous that TV networks filmed him from the waist up. Why? Because his music and image screamed rebellion against the buttoned-up ideals of the era. Rock's early rebellion wasn't just musical, it was cultural. It crossed racial lines, blending black and white influences in a segregated America, challenging the status quo. Parents and politicians panicked, labeling it devil's music. Radio bans and moral crusades only fueled its allure. Teenagers, feeling trapped by suburban sameness, found in rock a sound that mirrored their restlessness. By the end of the decade, rock and roll had laid the foundation for rebellion, proving music could be more than entertainment. It could be a battle cry. The 1960s, rock as a social revolution. The 1960s turned the volume up on rock's rebellious spirit. As civil rights struggles, anti-war protests, and countercultural movements swept the globe, rock became their soundtrack. The Beatles, initially clean-cut pop idols, transformed into cultural provocateurs with albums like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, 1967, experimenting with psychedelia and questioning societal norms. John Lennon's later solo work, like Give Peace a Chance, 1969, became anthems for anti-Vietnam War activists. Bob Dylan, once a folk troubadour, shocked purists by plugging in his guitar at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival. His electric set, including Like a Rolling Stone, wasn't just a musical shift. It was a rejection of tradition, a middle finger to those who wanted to box him in. Dylan's cryptic lyrics and raw delivery gave voice to a generation questioning authority, from government to cultural gatekeepers. Across the Atlantic, the Rolling Stones embraced a darker, grittier rebellion. Songs like I Can't Get No Satisfaction, 1965, captured youthful frustration with consumerism and conformity. Their bad boy image, arrests, drug scandals, and provocative lyrics made them the anti-Beatles embodying rock's dangerous edge. Meanwhile, The Who's Pete Townshend smashed guitars on stage, a visceral act of defiance against materialism and restraint, while songs like My Generation, 1965, spoke for youth who felt misunderstood. Rock festivals like Woodstock, 1969, crystallized the genre's role as a countercultural force. Jimi Hendrix's blistering, distorted rendition of The Star-Spangled Banner wasn't just a performance. It was a sonic protest against war and patriotism gone awry. Rock's ability to unite hundreds of thousands in muddy fields, defying societal norms, showed its power to mobilize and inspire. The 1970s, diversifying the rebellion. The 1970s saw rock splinter into subgenres, each channeling rebellion in unique ways. Hard rock and heavy metal, led by bands like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, amplified the genre's intensity. Black Sabbath's Paranoid, 1970, with its dark, doom-laden riffs, spoke to disillusionment with war and societal decay, offering a cathartic outlet for angst-ridden youth. Punk rock, however, was the decade's most explosive rebellion. Born in the gritty clubs of New York and London, punk was a raw, DIY middle finger to the excesses of mainstream rock and societal elitism. was banned by the BBC for its scathing attack on the British monarchy, yet it became an anthem for disaffected youth in a recession-hit UK. The Ramones, with their 2-minute 3-chord blasts like Blitzkrieg Bop, stripped rock to its bones, rejecting polished production and corporate control. Bands like The Clash infused punk with political fire, tackling issues like unemployment and racism in songs like London Calling, 1979. Women like Patti Smith and Debbie Harry of Blondie brought feminist defiance to the stage, challenging the male-dominated rock world. Punk wasn't just music, it was a movement, and a culture of resistance that rejected the status quo. The 1980s, rebellion goes mainstream. By the 1980s, rock's rebellious spirit faced a paradox. It was both mainstream and subversive. Arena rock bands like Guns N' Roses brought raw, dangerous energy with appetite for destruction. Their lyrics about drugs and urban chaos clashing with MTV's glossy aesthetic. Meanwhile, U2's The Joshua Tree, 1987, blended spiritual yearning with political commentary, addressing issues like U.S. intervention in Central America. Thrash metal, led by Metallica and Slayer, pushed rebellion to new extremes. Metallica's Master of Puppets, 1986, tackled addiction and control, its blistering riffs a sonic rebellion against personal and societal chains. These bands rejected the hair metal glamour of the era, opting for raw power and social critique. Alternative rock also began to bubble up, with bands like R.E.M. and The Smiths offering introspective rebellion. The Smiths' Morrissey, with his poetic melancholy and defiance of Thatcherite Britain, gave voice to outsiders who felt alienated by materialism and conservatism. Songs like How Soon Is Now, 1984, became anthems for the disaffected. The 1990s, grunge and the last great rebellion, saw rock's rebellious spirit peak with grunge, a movement born in Seattle's rainy underground. Nirvana's Nevermind, 1991, didn't just top charts. It shattered the facade of 1980s excess. Kurt Cobain's raw vocals and anguished lyrics in Smells Like Teen Spirit captured a generation's apathy and rage, rejecting consumerism and fame itself. Cobain's discomfort with stardom, culminating in his tragic death in 1994, underscored grunge's anti-establishment ethos. Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains followed, their music steeped in disillusionment with societal pressures. Pearl Jam's Vyaz, 1993, tackled abuse and inequality, while Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun, 1994, painted a surreal critique of suburban decay. Grunge's flannel-clad, unpolished aesthetic was a deliberate rejection of glamour, making rebellion accessible to anyone with a thrift store shirt and a guitar. Rock's legacy and modern echoes. By the 2000s, rock's rebellious edge faced challenges as the music industry embraced pop and digital platforms. Yet bands like Rage Against the Machine kept the flame alive, blending rap and rock to protest corporate greed and systemic injustice in songs like Killing in the Name, 1992. The White Stripes and the Black Keys revived raw garage rock rebellion, proving rock's spirit could still thrive in a polished pop landscape. Today, rock's rebellious legacy lives in artists like Billie Eilish, whose genre-blending defiance echoes punk's DIY ethos, tackles toxic masculinity and Brexit-era division. Streaming platforms and social media have democratized music, allowing new voices to challenge norms, much like punk did decades ago. Even as genres shift, rock's legacy endures in every artist who dares to speak truth to power. So, the next time you hear a distorted riff, ask yourself, what's it rebelling against? The answer might just be everything. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more content. Thank you.